As we head into the 2026 short legislative session, one thing is clear. Oregonians are paying attention, and they're fed up with the status quo.
Oregon's short legislative session convenes in Salem on Monday. I was at the Capitol today talking with House and Senate leaders about their priorities.
The responsibility to show up.
Inside a renovated state capitol.
This is my first time speaking in one of the new hearing rooms, so interesting acoustics.
Top Oregon lawmakers laid out their agendas for this year's short legislative session.
The budget is going to be the overwhelmingly difficult thing. It's going to be the focus of the session.
Senate President Rob Wagner stressing the importance of setting the right tone during an increasingly divided political climate.
And I encourage everyone to approach the conversations that they have with delicacy and kindness.
Among lawmakers' top priorities, balancing Oregon's budget that will soon see a nearly $900 million cut thanks to the federal government.
And what's worse is that this is going to be a long-term problem. We are looking at cuts to programs like Medicaid and SNAP of about $15 billion over the next 5 to 6 years.
Another budget focus, filling the Oregon Department of Transportation's nearly $300 million gap.
I will say that there have been very thoughtful, specific conversations about existing dollars in the Oregon Department of Transportation. These are tough choices.
We don't want any more taxes, but we can resolve the ODOT budget without raising taxes.
State government should tighten its belt the same way Oregon families have been forced to do over the last few years.
Lawmakers clashed on how the state should respond to the federal government's immigration enforcement tactics.
And it is increasingly feeling un-American. And I think Oregonians are really concerned about what that means.
But I do think that we have to shift from the fear elevating talk and really look at what's trying to be accomplished here.
I do have a strongly differing opinion from the leader on what makes Oregonians safe.
It's very important that we have lawful immigration enforcement that doesn't put people's lives in danger.
The governor is also preparing to introduce bills related to growing the economy by creating more jobs, building more affordable housing, and cutting red tape for behavioral health workers.
House Bill 4082, that is a targeted approach to creating more housing for Oregonians who are 55 and older.
During multiple news conferences Wednesday, an underlying challenge emerged: how to create unity during a time of great divide.
People are tense. That's outside the legislature. And I will just say, I often have conversations with Oregonians right now in the grocery store and other places. People are concerned. So there is a lot of tension. And so what I say to folks is, let's focus on what we can handle. Let's work together. And I think we can solve problems here in the state.
So next week, lawmakers will get an update on the state's revenue forecast, and that's important because it will give them a better sense of the state's budget gap and what they'll need to do to fill it. This year's short session again starts on Monday, February 2nd, and it will last 35 days. But going back to that question of unity, House Speaker Julie Fahey today talked of the importance of hearing from both sides of the aisle and said Democrats welcome Republicans to sit at their table. House Minority Leader Lucetta Elmer responded by saying they don't feel welcome there. Listen.
The challenge is if the Republicans have to choose to sit at that table when there is a seat for them.
To speak very plainly, it would be like being asked to come to a table that was already set with a menu that was already pre-approved, and you have a food allergy and can't eat any of the food, but that's the only choice you're given. So that is where we find ourselves often. It's not that we don't want to be part of the conversation, and it's not that we don't want to be at the table, but it has to be a table where we can also speak and eat and walk away without passing out.